Revenge of the Sith came out in May 19 of 2005, and the marketing, the tie-in campaigns, and the fan hype were huge. Maybe not at the levels of Phantom Menace in 1999, but it was still one of the biggest movie launches of all time. Media coverage was insane, the marketing was obscene, commercials and tie-ins were everywhere, and of course, toys. So many toys and collectibles. Let's get into it. It's hard to believe the movie is 20 years old, but that is the reality we live in. But let's go back to 2005 when they premiered one of the trailers during the OC. I recorded that episode and I watched the trailer over and over and over again. To introduce the trailer, they had Adam Brody, who played Seth Cohen on the show, playing with action figures in front of the camera and then claiming he would keep the figures. Speaking of figures, Hasbro figures. Let's talk about the collectible. Hasbro didn't just do action figures, they also had toy lightsabers, the now iconic Vader voice-changing helmet, a new game and minifigure line called Attacktix, and of course the classic 3.75-inch action figures we all know and love. I remember going to Toys R Us and seeing the display with all the figures. I remember a couple standing there and the guy saying to his girlfriend or his wife, "Lots of people collect these things and display them and whatnot," and I remember thinking, that would be me, I'm one of those people. I didn't buy as many figures this time around. I own a ton of the episode 1 and episode 2 figures, and Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi, etc. But episode 3 I didn't go crazy with it, but I have plenty here, and in the last few years I have been slowly but surely adding more to my collection, especially more niche characters like the Mustafar guards, the Norse droids, things like that. At the time, for whatever reason, I collected the Attacktix game a lot. It was sort of like HeroClix, which was a tabletop game with figures that you collect and you play with. They even came packaged similar to the HeroClix. It was a vertical box, and it was a blind box, okay? So you bought them, but you didn't know what was inside. So kind of like buying trading cards. In a way, it was ahead of its time. The toy industry nowadays is now dominated by blind toy purchases. But these figures were way bigger in size than HeroClix, and they all had action features like giant missiles or giant lightsabers to hit your opponent with. I still have plenty of them around in the bag. Sadly, there's a lot of great figures, like Yoda or Vader that I never got. I have mostly like Wookiees, droids, etc. We had the lightsabers too, and we played with them a lot. I have plenty of footage of me and my brother, and even me and Bolillo playing with the sabers, and pictures of me and my high school friends playing with them, and I did some pretty crazy photoshops over the years with those things. My favorites are the ones where we all chopped each other's heads off. Going back to the Hasbro figures, they were great. They did a sneak preview mini wave the year earlier, and then went crazy with dozens and dozens of figures all throughout 2005, as well as ships and creatures and playsets that all added to the world building of our collections. The 3.75 line has evolved quite nicely over the years. There was plenty of detail and articulation in those 2005 figures. They may look dated now when comparing to the current 3.75-inch line, aka the Vintage Collection, and to the 6-inch line, aka the Black Series, but upon release, those figures were very impressive. From 1978 to present day, 3.75-inch figures continue to be an important part of the Star Wars fan and collector experience, and the Revenge of the Sith line was an iconic subline, and that packaging with Vader's helmet and the lava all around him is truly iconic. The merch and the tie-ins went beyond just Hasbro. They partnered with M&Ms and had a dark side themed campaign for the summer of 2005. The commercial is quite funny, the one where we see Vader force choking Red, and then Yellow giving in to his demands. I believe we still have some wrappers here in a bin somewhere. If I find them, I'll show them to you now with B-roll. But yeah, we collected those tins and we ate a lot of chocolate that summer. They partnered with a lot of companies that year to make products and tie-ins. It was obscene, it was crazy, and I loved it. Burger King had a massive fast food toy line. Over 30 figures were made. Most of them were plastic figures with big heads and a gimmick like the Yoda that jumps, but a few were plushies. My favorite was the Wicked plushie and the Chewie plushie, and I still have them. I remember seeing my friend G with one at school. I think he had gone to Burger King that day for breakfast and got one. I think it was Grievous, but I'm not 100% sure. And he was playing around with it at the high school library, just having fun and messing around. It was a great fast food toy line, and sure, while I don't love it as much as the episode 1 line, the one that went through Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC, it was still a very fun line to collect, and I plan on getting more eventually. I only have a few, maybe like 10. Books were aplenty. There were novels for kids, teens, and adults, like the official novelization, the making of book and the art book by J.W. Rinsler, and of course the scrapbook, which I remember taking to school and perusing through it with my friends back then. One of the best parts of any Star Wars tie-in campaign is the video games, and we had a lot to choose from back then. The main game was the official tie-in game, and it was an action-heavy hack-and-slash video game for consoles. There was also a side-scrolling version for the GBA and the DS. There was a mobile game for cell phones at the time, and plug-and-play games too. And we got the first of many Star Wars Lego games. I played that game a lot, both solo and in co-op, and I think I unlocked everything. It's a delightful game, and most if not all the Lego games are fun to play. And several months later, on the same day as the release of the DVD, we got the second Battlefront game from Pandemic Studios and LucasArts. This one had a single-player campaign that focused on the 501st Clone Troopers, and it had narration by Tamora Morrison, aka Boba Fett, aka Jango Fett. And it changed gameplay quite a bit from the first one with the addition of Jedi and Sith characters that you could use for brief periods. I remember going to my friend G's house and playing the game the day it came out. G, Troch, and I had a lot of fun playing that, as you can imagine. I did miss not having a Starfighter game, which is something that both Episode 1 and Episode 2 got, and Episode 1 also got a pod racer game. Star Wars vehicle games are usually fun, and we sadly didn't get one for Episode 3, but we still ate super well when it came to games that year. When it comes to TV, the coverage was obscene. Every news station in the country was covering their local theaters and the release of the movie. Channels like Fox and E were airing behind-the-scenes specials about the movie, and even Animal Planet got involved with a documentary about the animals and the creatures of Star Wars. And if memory serves me correctly, it was in 2005 that VH1 or MTV did a Star Wars 1 hour special. It was in the style of I love the 80s, I love the 90s, etc. I forget the name of it, but I think it came out that year. I've searched for it, but I can't find it. Hit the comments below if you know what I'm talking about. My memory's a little foggy with that one. In my mind, I thought The Legacy Revealed from History Channel came out that year, but it came out in 2007. I highly recommend the documentary, by the way. It studies the movies and reveals how George got inspired by history and mythology, etc. And the print media coverage was insane too. One iconic example is the Vanity Fair cover story, which united both the cast of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And to this day, that magazine still does cover stories for Star Wars, both the TV shows and the movies. The internet played a big part in promoting the movie, even though social media was not really a thing yet, because the Star Wars website was slowly but surely revealing more and more about the movie in mini documentaries. This was something becoming more and more popular at the time. I remember Peter Jackson's King Kong movie did the same thing. It did a similar strategy to Episode 3 with online web docs. They were fun and informative, and I remember the intro. It had a video collage of sorts, and it had the theme for when the Death Star gets blown up in A New Hope. I remember the most the moment where we see George Lucas and his producer Rick McCallum walking towards the camera. For whatever reason, that shot is ingrained in my mind. I don't know why. And Cartoon Network aired Volume 2 of the Gandhi Clone Wars shorts about 2 months before the movie came out. But a year earlier, they aired Part 2 of Volume 1, and it featured the grand debut of General Grievous. He was intense, he was scary, and he slaughtered a bunch of Jedis like they were nothing. As much as I enjoyed Grievous and Revenge of the Sith, and in the Dave Filoni Clone Wars, the truth is that the character peaked with his introduction in Volume 1 and also with Volume 2. In the movie, he coughed and ran away too much. Same goes for the Clone Wars. The CG Clone Wars, I mean. I almost forgot the DVDs for the original trilogy, which I got at the Trujillo Mall in Kmart. They came out the year before Revenge of the Sith, in September 2004, and they had a sneak preview of Episode 3, which featured a quick glimpse of Hayden as Vader, and a preview of the video game as well. I lost count of how many times I saw those behind-the-scenes documentaries over and over, like the Empire of Dreams documentary, and the movies too. For many weeks, I spent my Fridays with A New Hope, my Saturdays with The Empire Strikes Back, and my Sundays with Return of the Jedi. The lead up to Revenge of the Sith was something else, and the hype was real. I was spending every day thinking of Star Wars, playing with Star Wars, drawing Star Wars, and literally eating Star Wars. The movie was unavoidable. It was on cereal boxes and candy wrappers, and the toys were everywhere. And as I said earlier, the media coverage was incessant. The PR campaign worked really well, and the licensing partnership succeeded. Star Wars fans and even casual moviegoers were excited. I remember seeing people at school who were not Star Wars fans or pop culture enthusiasts. They were like very quote-unquote normie people saying they wanted to go see it. And yeah, they went to see it. Even many of the people who hated Episode 1 and 2 couldn't help but get excited for Episode 3. And after it came out, it became the best reviewed of the 3 prequel movies, and more often than not, it tends to be most fans' favorite of the 3. It truly is an emotional and intense movie. It has action-packed duels, fun air combat, cool creatures, great villains, and as the TV ad said, it had real human emotion. I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but it's a really good movie. And if you were around when it came out, then you know just how special that time leading up to the movie was, as well as around the release of the movie and even the rest of the year, like when the DVD and Battlefront came out. And everything surrounding the movie, like the ads, the tie-ins, the campaigns, the toys, it all became as important as the movie itself, if not more. And that movie means a lot to me. That movie came out around the time I was graduating 9th grade, and some weeks after my confirmation. And it was after a long period of investigating online and speculating with friends and reading stuff from magazines and acquiring trinkets and collectibles in anticipation of the movie. And that creates a lot of hype. And eventually all those things we did and the conversations we had and the things we read and the games we played and the things we bought eventually all became potent memories. So yeah, there's a lot of memories and people and events attached to that movie for me. And I will remember 2004, 2005, 9th grade, and of course Revenge of the Sith for the rest of my life and beyond that. Thank you for watching, it means a lot, and also this is not our first rodeo when it comes to Revenge of the Sith. We also made a video about the Revenge of the Sith video games recently, and we plan on making more. So if you like Revenge of the Sith, and you like Star Wars, TV, movies, video games, pop culture and nerd culture in general, if you're a nostalgic person who loves the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, etc., then this is your channel. Feel free to subscribe so you can stay tuned to what's coming and so you can support the channel. And once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, and of course, long live Revenge of the Sith, and long live 2005, and long live all those memories, those great memories.